Wow. It's great to see a lot of old friends. I'm the president of Data Planet. On the program it says Date Planet, but it's Data-Planet. Date Planet might be the next business. I'm actually a founder of another company in the scholarly space called Lab Archives, which is a web-based lab notebook, as well as president of Data Planet, and I'm also involved with Browsing from Third Iron. Data Planet is an aggregation of statistics. It's probably the largest single aggregation of homogenized statistical data in a single system. I'll explain that in a second. The questions that we were asked to answer was, what was the problem? How are we addressing the problem? And maybe a quick show. The problem that we went to solve with Data Planet was, in the world of citable, credible content, statistics is an area that's a little bit like the Wild West. There are few standard conventions, multiple file formats, lack of common definitions, the term indicator, data set, database, just to name a few, variable. Different source organizations call these things, they use the words interchangeably, they don't necessarily mean the same thing. Lack of standard metadata around data sets, lack of citation format, standardization across organizations, and then a huge amount of data is produced every day. In our system, if we don't do anything but update the data that's in our system, it grows by over 20% a year without touching it. So here's the problem. Here's what people see. These are credible sources of statistics I found just the other day. And they're all citable. They all have citations that could be associated with them. And that's what we do. We take all these different formats, we put it into this monster system, we ingest it. That's what we call it an ingestion process. Other people might call it production. We don't. And then we standardize it in our repository. It's a dynamic repository, meaning it gets updated as new data sets are released that we track. We homogenize that data. We don't clean it per se, because once we clean it, we can't say it's the same official source, but we homogenize it. The next thing we do is we add about 36 or 37 fields of metadata, things that are specific to data sets, periodicity, units of measure, etc. And then we create a metadata record. This is just an output of a metadata record, but we create a description for the specific time series or data series, a description for the data set or database it comes from, and a description of the source organization or publisher. We also use this citation format down at the bottom that is based loosely, but based on the data site citation format to attempt to get close to a standard. And then we apply our own data set ID, which is a numbering system for data sets that we have to use internally to the citation. And notice there's a DOI at the bottom. All of that goes into the repository, and it comes out in various ways. We have two interfaces, a sophisticated search and retrieval tool, and a search and retrieval tool for a non-sophisticated user, and a sophisticated analytical tool for a regular user, analyst type. In addition to that, we also publish what's called data sheets. We can rebrand those. We're looking for collaborators, etc. But we have data sheets for everything that's in our system. We can produce somewhere in the neighborhood of, it's going to sound undefensible, over 1 billion is what we'll say. We have published 168,000 data sheets to date. We'll probably publish about 1 million by the end of this year. We don't plan on publishing 1 billion because it's an on-the-fly kind of system. And then we also produce metadata records in text, TXT, CSV, and MARC formats for the data sheets. Here's an example of one of the visualizations from our system, master's degree completions. This is from the Department of Education in this country. It's a ranking by type of discipline. It looks like I can hardly read it. Sorry. Business, and I guess no mistake. So business, there's more MBAs out there than there are master's degrees in other disciplines. Notice the metadata at the bottom. Here's another one, expenditures for electronic serials from the academic library statistics data set. I think this might be of interest to a few people in the room. Who thought that University of Iowa would have been number 5 in the country in terms of expenditures for serial publications. The DOI is circled down on the right-hand side. So that DOI would resolve to an image like this with the description underneath it for any authenticated or unauthenticated user. Here's another chart. This is a different discipline. Death row inmates versus and overlapped against commuted sentences. And then I just circled part on the chart that an analyst would see, and they'd say, oh, what happened here? And they would go do a little bit of research. And that's it. So Data Planet, we're actively seeking any kind of publishing partnerships. We're wide open. Thanks.
Thank you.